Hey, what's up, guys? We're going to be playing some blitz and classical chess here on the stream today. International Master William Pascal, aka Sladgie, Sparkle Horse on lichess is my account name. I am online and I'm going to be playing anything between 5+3 and 7+3. 5+3 and 7+3 casual blitz. Gladys Troll and Morales are challenging me. We've already got those games ready to go. Let's just get started because I don't know what to talk about. I haven't checked out the FIDE Grand Prix really. I saw maybe one round in Mallorca. So that's something that we can take a look at this week. Really good Grand Prix tournament. Alright, Troll on a roll. Chess 960, 6+5. Morales is challenging me to 6+3. So as I said, 5+3, 5+5, 6+3, 6+5. Up to 7+3. That'll be like the longest time control that we play. Let's do it. Alright, Troll, let's start with a nice warm-up chess 960 game. Morales beat me in the simul yesterday, and apparently that's like a main line of the advanced variation, which I don't really know. I found a small improvement, but I remember, Morales, that I think the move I made with bishop d2, maybe I'm supposed to play king f1. I remember I remember Joel Benjamin oftentimes putting his king on f1 in that advanced French, so maybe that's what I have to do to try to get something interesting. Wow, Troll on a roll with g5. Alright, Troll, that's full-on aggression. Not happy to see that, really. Wow. Usually Troll is kind of relatively conservative in the opening. Here he's gone at it with the g5, and I walked right into it, basically. d4, g4, knight e5. Let's go with that. Play for the center. Usually Troll, again, relatively solid style of play. g5 is quite aggressive, but justified maybe in this case. Alright, we're just trying to wake up, guys. It's always kind of hard. Sundays are pretty tough for me, and then I do the stream right in the morning on Monday. I feel like I'm not really awake yet. But anyway, hopefully the coffee will kick in soon. Troll on a roll. Knight f3, g5, d4. Chess 960. My king on b1. In order to castle, we have to move both bishops out. And this knight if you want to go kingside. Sometimes you forget, like, the queen on h1 doesn't need to move in order to castle. It's, okay, my plan was to play g4, knight e5, so I really need to solidly defend. This is a little bit passive, but this pawn, I'd rather not play c3, I guess. Well, that's something I should consider, actually. I should have considered c3 instead. Maybe instead of e3, it was just better, actually. If I played c3, then bishop c2, I could play for e4 and have a more aggressive position where my knight and bishop aren't blocked. I think now it may be better to consider something like even b3, bishop b2, but it's weakening, kind of time consuming. Looks like the Kali system for white. Antonio and Saddest Troll. What happened to Saddest Troll? So Antonio, I could have saved that endgame against you. I like hesitated when my d4 pawn was hanging, and I almost played knight g5. But that was the move that draws the game, actually. I hesitated, played h3, and then I think you're like winning when you play h6. If I had played knight g5 and then after rook takes d4, then play h3, I've got my knight active, and it's probably a drawable endgame for me. So it was a good game by you, but I probably could have saved it with accurate play. But the opening was not good. I need to find something better there. That's not a very promising line for white. All right. I don't really play the advanced variation of the French, but I wanted to try something different for a change. Now that bishop is going to be a nuisance, let's do a little bit of maneuvering here. We could counter g5 with g4. Maybe not a bad idea. It might be better than doing g3, which is essentially passive, and giving my knight a square like g3 symmetrically, obviously. I want to counter bishop e7 with like bishop f3. Yeah, Morales. Okay, bishop d7. I expected bishop b5, trying to play actively with the bishop. But I'm not sure if that was the best move. That position has been reached by some strong players. Counter g4. I saw there was like even one Shirov game where Alexei actually played like I did to some degree. But I don't think the advanced variation is a good choice for like Shirov. Okay, it was an isolated game. He's probably played everything. Most recently, I saw Shirov play a winnower with white. He seems more at home there. I think that's more natural to his style. But he beat Haruka, I remember, last year's. I think it was last year's Gibraltar or maybe the Isle of Man in a really brutal game. He sacked several pawns and then attacked her king on the castle on the queen's side. That was a winnower French, though. The advanced variation doesn't attract that many really strong players. As I said, Joel Benjamin, a friend of mine, one of the only grandmasters I know who plays it on a regular basis. Here I guess we have to do bishop f3. We've got the knight coming back to d3. This knight can come out to g3. Our bishop will develop eventually. So everybody's happy. We can castle queenside. Everybody's happy except for Troll. For once, I feel like I'm better coordinated than him. Yeah, Morales, I didn't analyze that far. I just thought, like, you know, positionally speaking, it's a good exchange for you to trade like your bad bishop for my knight, but it's probably not that simple. I believe I looked at it last night with the computer, and it's like a tiny bit better for black probably after bishop b5, but I do have resources there like you're talking about. So I'm just discussing my simul game with Morales from yesterday. Troll defending, very ingenious defense of the bishop on d8. Troll, I like that. Creative. If I play bishop takes b7, knight takes b7, knight f7, queen g7, knight takes d8, knight takes d8. I mean, I'm not even sure if this is really good for me. It might be better just to retreat here. I don't know. I just don't know. We end up trading a lot of pieces. Bishop takes b7, knight takes, knight f7. I could also just retreat there. I don't feel like I have that big of an advantage here. I don't know why I would deserve one necessarily. So, well, there's only two options, so let's just make a decision here. Trade or not trade. Normally if I have a space advantage or a developmental advantage, I guess I might want to like not trade pieces, but you know, here I can't really point to that. Alright, let's trade and then think about whether to play knight f7 or not. Knight f7 helps his queen get out. Would send the knight back to d8, but that's only like a temporary gain. I don't know. My bishop isn't that great, honestly. You know, do we think of this as a position where the bishop is better than the knight? That's what I'm talking about. I don't know, you know. I mean, this bishop is okay. It comes out here to d2, and it has a little bit of range. Maybe it can get into c3 and try to open up this diagonal or something. But long term, the bishop can be a good piece in an endgame. It can also be a very bad piece if all my pawns are stuck on dark square. So I might even want to play e4, actually. Maybe after e4 I can develop the bishop to e3. Although that would create more holes in my position. Troll's defining weakness is that he's very slow. And I like it. Yeah, his rating has been 1666 for a while. He's actually one of 2 players rated 1666. There's this guy I-Man yesterday who I played with the same satanic rating. I was thinking about h4. Probably I should get on with the development. Not a very inspiring bishop. I traded my knight. I traded my knight for his bishop. I mean, his bishop, you know, technically in the French type of structure should be his good bishop. So trading a knight for it, usually the right idea. Now h4. Trying to open the H file, get some play. We're almost fully developed. He can go knight g6 and knight into h4. I guess there's nothing I can do about that. Wow, c5 is an aggressive move. Opening up his king. I was talking about e4. Maybe this is this is the moment for it. I would jettison my structure, basically. h5 is interesting too, just keeping him spatially pushed down. Man, I don't know what to do. It just feels like I'm ahead in development here, but what am I going to do after takes, queen takes? I do have knight e4 there. Then there's no answer to like queen h7. I don't know. I don't really like this exchange. I feel like it simplifies the situation, which is probably beneficial to him. But I don't like my pawn just hanging there. This is probably an error. Oh, you could have played c takes d, man. I don't know. I like that better. What am I doing now? Now I can close it up. c4. We should have a better ending, but I think he should keep it closed. The H file should matter. His king is more open than mine. He's got queen a4 here, actually. That's slightly irritating. But in the event of queen a4, his d5 pawn's hanging, etc. Alright, we need to get to the H file. There's also the G3 square. This is under surveillance. Queen a4 can be met by king b1, c3, b3, queen a3, bishop c1, stopping any kind of mates. And now the file is the relevant thing here. A relevant factor. My bishop's actually not so bad. I think he's forgetting about this check I have on g3, or maybe he just didn't have time to worry about it. Now you can contest the file. No, we can't. So we're just better here. Half a pawn-ish. Yeah, it's kind of unpleasant for black. I mean, the king isn't very safe, and the h-file is kind of nasty. My bishop turned out to be okay, because I have enough space for it. Alright guys, welcome to the stream. Let me refresh my Twitch page. I don't like the changes they made to Twitch. Now I have to like refresh Twitch just to see, like, seems like a lot of bugs. Just to see like how many people are viewing the stream. It doesn't automatically show up the first time. There it is. 21 moves. Alright man, good warm-up game. Aldisto and Abitabuda. Morales has been getting tougher. Lately, okay, he won the simul game. Lately he was struggling a little bit, but he's overall gotten tougher, I feel like, lately. Anyway, guys, thank you for subscribing. I'm going to play the subscribers first. So Morales, Aldisto. Actually, we had a tough simul game with Aldisto, who played the... What is it called? I never remember. The Albin counter gambit. E4. Alright. Yesterday I lost to move 11, Morales, and another game that's escaping me. Now knight c3. Where is Mule Skinner? We haven't seen Zen Chess in a long time, who I think is in the United States. These two guys really played this closed Sicilian a lot. Oh, Gladys Troll, you're a subscriber. Oh my god. Sorry, man. It was so out of my expectations that I didn't even say thank you. Amazing, dude. He became a subscriber. It took a lot of convincing. Troll, man. Alright. Thanks for subscribing. That's why I played you. I didn't even know. You know what? I'm supposed to play the subscribers first, Troll. Maybe I subconsciously saw that you had a subscribers thing there. Did you have it when the game started? You didn't just subscribe this minute, did you? It's funny that I didn't even think about it, and I just accepted Troll's challenge. Like he's... Well, I've been treating him like he's a subscriber because he's here so regularly. And his behavior has been pretty good lately. So... Oh, Move 11 subscribed you. Oh my god. That's awesome. That is awesome. That's camaraderie. I'll have to remember to thank Move 11. Alright. This variation went through a period, like, I guess 15 years ago, where this knight c3 bishop b5 thing, where it became really trendy. I'm trying to think who played it. I mean, it's more common to play bishop c4 here. I've actually played this line for white. Time I lost to Romanian International Master Butanoy, who passed away. Knight f3 now. Am I supposed to take on b5? I guess I'm supposed to take... This is... You know, it seems like it would transpose to some kind of other variation of the Rasalimo. If I play knight f6, the knight often gets hit by e5, so I mean, I think it's in black's best interest not to have played f6 too early, but still. Yeah, it's curious why this is not played more commonly, knight f3 immediately. You know what? Maybe I'm not supposed to take on b5. Maybe I should play like a6, bishop c4, e6, or something like that. Oh well, here we are. I'm gonna have to look at this. I can play like I play in the Grand Prix with a6, knight c3, b5, but then d4 seems pretty good for white. Knight f6, e5, knight d5 is a transposition to a normal, whatchamacallit, Rosalimo. You would have buy a 6-pack. A man after my own heart there, troll. I don't take it personally. You know your priorities. You would buy a 6-pack instead of toilet paper too, right? There was some Super Bowl commercial a few years ago. The guy like had to choose between beer and toilet paper because he didn't have enough money to buy both when he got to the register. And I guess that's where you would be. All right. So now knight f6. Does that force white to make some kind of concession? Nothing wrong with developing moves. You know, maybe he could even sack a pawn with something crazy like d4 actually. Looks totally viable. d4, kind of scary. I guess then I'd have to take, and we... I don't know, is this even transposing into a known variation, or is this just totally weird? Let's say like d4, pawn takes pawn, queen takes d4. It looks a lot like, that's looking a lot like a Moscow variation or Checkover variation. If you take with the queen on d4, we could get a transposition to one of these Checkover Sicilians with queen takes d4 on move 3. But this would be a strange version. You know, you're trading like you're trading your bishop the same way, but in a different way. Normally you play bishop b5 takes on c6. Here it's just like disappeared off the board. Although in those Checkover variations, white usually either plays c4 or castles queenside. This is very conservative for white. Okay, it's solid. It looks like a Grand Prix attack, but he hasn't played f4. Now, I guess I have a lot of options here. g6 probably the safest. Well, let's say like g6, bishop g5, for example, something like that. Maybe I'm weakening my king side. There's a lot of ways we can play this. I'm going to opt for something similar to the way I play against the Grand Prix with castles, knight takes b5, like I have against Muleskinner so many games. Yeah, I think bishop g5 is interesting here. But you know, I was talking about g6 a minute ago, and those positions weaken my king side a little bit. If he's going to be able to achieve like queen d2, bishop g5, bishop h6 really easily, I'm not sure that fianchettoing is necessarily even a good thing for me to do, you know. This actually doesn't look that different from some positions I've seen. Let's say like, I remember some games where Aronian actually played this line with the normal bishop b5, bishop c4 type of setup. Bishop b5, knight d4, bishop c4. Then later, knight a5, knight takes b3 or something. I think I actually had a game like that myself once with white. As I said, I played that line. I've played this line a couple times with white. Once I lost to... Actually, I have a bad score. I lost to Budinoy. I lost to an Indian GM. And I drew with like a weaker master. Come to think of it, like who did I ever do well against this line with white in the few times that I played it? I played it on maybe 3 or 4 occasions. Though I don't think it was ever the opening. Oh, I lost to... No, I lost with black against Amon Simatoe. I just have a bad score with both sides. Monday and Monday. What to do with the black bishop? You mean this black bishop? Now he's basically transferring to a open Sicilian, but this looks like a good position for black now. I mean, in fact, didn't I have b4? Yeah, this looks like it's a tactical mistake. Hey, what's up, Spinal Tap Chess? There should be like a big I am next to your name. Alright, Ayeste, Arsenal fan. I wish I could hand out free subscriptions to whoever I wanted, but Twitch doesn't allow that. I would make you an honorary subscriber, Spinal Tap Chess. b4. Uh-oh. Okay, Morales has lost his mind. I've been in much scarier situations than this. But you should at least take on f6 there. I mean, if you take on f6, maybe you can get me to mess up my king side or to strand my king in the center. I don't think that it's a big deal, though. I'll just play king f8. Objectively, white's lost no matter what. Let's just pause for a second here for station identification. Maybe it's actually not crazy to take this pawn on d5 before it does any damage. Knight takes d5, bishop takes, knight takes. Alright, I'm going to get my king out of the center. That pawn's not going anywhere, actually. It's like triple attacked. Okay, he can save it by playing rook d1, maybe. I can simply blockade. He is just down a piece. Kind of like my tournament game yesterday. My opponent played well and then just like spaced. Yeah, why did you drop a piece? I'm just curious about the opening. It's odd, you know? I mean, knight f3 isn't very common. Only 349 games. I kind of prefer a4 to that, honestly. So this has been played, though, numerous times, it looks like, by Grisha Caruana Vallejo. So I am supposed to take... I also thought maybe a6 is okay. That would be my second choice. But here I was kind of clueless. I ended up playing the most common move. It looks like d6 is best, but it took me a while to find that. Some people have played d5, borrowing an idea from that Grand Prix attack line. Yeah, this looks best. Okay, so you're supposed to play d4. d4, knight f6, and then knight back to c3. Yeah, I was thinking about gambit variations look like castles. I don't think I can take that pawn, can I? One person dared to take the pawn. Wow, someone actually took this. Some guy I'd never heard of. Nivo Struyev against Yuri Balashov. Interesting stuff. I'll have to look this up. Alright guys, Aldisto, and then I'm going to play Macros. Those guys are subscribers. Then the other challenges. What's up, Railbird80? King's Indian. E4 was possible before rook e1. Yeah, that's exactly right. E4. Did you mean d4? That's what I was just looking at. So, what are we going to do? Another Sicilian. Everybody's playing e4. Yeah, I don't know what happened, Rallis. You just sort of spaced. It's early in the morning, maybe, for some people here in Europe. Depending on your lifestyle, I feel like I'm waking up though. Usually in the first couple games I'm really clueless. Okay, Aldisto playing the Mora Gambit. You can also just transfer to a c3 Sicilian, but I have a much better score against the Mora Gambit than the c3 Sicilian, so I'll stick with taking the pawn. I usually play the same line. I probably need a second. I need a second variation so I'm not so predictable, I guess, with black here. But I've always just believed in black's position, so. One time I lost in this variation in a very important game. I've told that story before. I have to look at the game again one day because I'm not sure exactly how I managed to lose in this line. It wasn't because of the opening, it was something I did later. I don't know, do you play the Sicilian there? Spinal Tap chess? Doesn't everybody play the Sicilian? Spinal Tap, he must play the Sicilian. I know that he plays the Caro-Kann. But you can't nobody plays only the Caro-Kann. That would be insane. You meant when bishop g5, you played e6, then you played rook e1. Instead e4. What do you mean d4? Oh, e4 for me? What? He messes up black center a bit. You mean d4? Or e5 are you talking about? You're trying to say, I think you're trying to say e5, and I didn't understand what you meant. Your like coordinates are inverted. Now I understand. Well, I mean e5, usually that would be like the first thing I would, always watch out for. I didn't think it was dangerous. Oftentimes, like in early e5, just kind of trades off white's center pawn, leaving him with no prospects later. He has to do something. Yeah, I mean, obviously not sacking a piece. Maybe e5. But I think that black had a comfortable position, and black was at least equal, objectively. So white takes time to play bishop b3. This is like a prophylactic move, so I don't hit it with like 95 or something. And also opens the c file for him. Maybe with a rook he'll have some tactics. This is probably not a really bad move, but like for the most part, the Smith-Morra like time is kind of an important factor. So here I'm thinking about playing bishop h5 actually. I usually don't do that. Life can get quite complicated after something like bishop h5, g4, bishop g6, knight h4. It's much cleaner to just take here, but it's also like a small concession. Though he doesn't have a lot of threats or pressure on my position at the moment. Okay, you have to argue white has some compensation for the sacrificed pawn here. Like half a pawn compensation, probably. Knight e5. 995. Are you talking about this game? 95 here. Yeah, Rich. Knight takes e5. Bishop takes e2. Bishop takes f7. Checkmate. It's not really a big problem, especially if you have to go grab some food or something. You can really like make the game quick. All right. Yeah, we definitely have 95. E5 is a popular square today. It's like, what is that called? Legal's mate? Is that Legal's mate? Legal. Stephen Legal. Alright. Usually they don't move the bishop till later. Aldisto moved it right away, saving himself having to worry about it now. Queen g3 is a typical kind of move. There. I played 95. I hope you're happy now. Whoops. Why can't you do things like that against me, Arsenal fan? You've been playing really well lately. I was trying to figure out who the other guy who won last night was, and it was you. Morales, Arsenal fan, and Move 11. Ironically, all three people who beat me in the Simon last night are subscribers. So, that just goes to show you. You guys are getting better. Hopefully, a little bit thanks to me. Alright. Queen e2 looks like a good move. Logical. Okay. A lot of beginners will make the mistake of like taking on e5, which is really, really bad. They'll think, okay, black has double pawns, it's okay. But actually my bishop becomes like a terrorist. It's really bad to play bishop takes e5. Maybe white could draw, like groveling for a draw, you know, somehow. But it's usually just a better endgame for black. Arsenal fan, the game against you is one of the few that I haven't really looked at. It was kind of complicated. I think I didn't want to fry my brain by looking at it. I looked at some of the simpler games from yesterday, mostly the openings. But we'll get to that. I'll have to take a look at that game with you. You know, just for like 45 minutes after the simul, I was looking at it before I went to sleep last night, some of the games. Now, first of all, I thought queen b7. This has a threat. Hopefully we don't see any more knight d5 sacrifices today. I want to put pressure on e4. Oh, we've got some dark square weaknesses now to work with. But he certainly defends that pawn. Huh. Not really sure. Should I just directly... How can I directly exploit the dark squares? You know, knight h5. And, like, what am I going to do? Maybe something like knight g6. Then he has queen f2. Doesn't look like I can really do anything immediate. Maybe just developing my pieces is a better option. Then again, what am I threatening? Because if I go knight c4... I'm going to drop my d6 pawn. Well, I don't know what I was thinking, actually, because if I move my knight to g6, I'm going to drop the pawn as well in some lines. Now he went here, though. This is a little surprising. Now I can play knight g6 with impunity. I have other cool ideas, too. This is a little too fancy to play bishop d8, no? Alright, I don't know, guys, what to do here. Maybe we have a different plan we can try. Knight d5 still is an option. The piece sacrifice a la Morales. Not gonna work here. Man, I spent forever on this. I've actually played things like g5 in this variation before, just to hold up the dark squares. It's kind of a Khan Sicilian theme. You can start attacking white on the dark squares. It's not a ridiculous move. But it looks a little risky. Unnecessarily risky. Try to keep it a little simpler, a little bit simpler. Tempting, but it's always dangerous to play g5. Oh, now we can take with a pawn. Give us a little less control. And open the d file for him. Yeah, let's not say we did. He could shift to the d file there, and it looks like he might get some annoying play if I play pawn takes. It also like kind of lessens my control of e5 and stuff like that. Stuff like that. Alright, whatever. We don't have very much time, just basically increments. This is 5 plus 3. I don't know why now I feel like it's not as imposing. We're up a healthy pawn. A healthy baby pawn. Kind of hard to avoid the exchange there. Okay, you're starting to get on my nerves here, buddy. Am I screwing this up? Oh man, I don't know about this. He should have played b3 right there. If he'd played b3, not really sure what's going on. Let me see. If you play b3 right at the end, it doesn't help, it doesn't help. I still have a4, damn. Okay. Alright, anyways, good game. Like, I mean, the opening, I don't know. It's a question about bishop b3. Everybody plays bishop f4 here. The engine actually likes bishop b3. I guess it's not a bad move. I'm surprised it didn't transpose. There's one game here. Actually, this is quoted in some old books, probably. Ackerman versus King, 1992. Danny played rook c8. It's actually the best move according to the engine. Wow. Rook c8. It's kind of vague. I don't know. Just protecting the knight on c6? Interesting. Choice of Grandmaster and computer alike. Alright, I'm going to take this challenge from the subscriber, Macros42. I hope I make some sense. Alright, Sparkle Horse against the Macros42. So I take the challengers who are subscribers first, then I'll start playing you other guys who are either guests or new players. Sometimes I recognize some people. Abita Buda we've played before. Tlatswani I think we played before. I know the other day Tono Hymetz wanted to play, but I couldn't because it was too late. I'm going to take you guys on next. Macros42. We had a bunch of games like this on my Sunday Simul last night. I'm really getting into playing like reverse Grunfeld type of things, but most people don't allow that. And I am having trouble with the Fianchetto Grunfeld type of positions, where black's going like g6. I've got to come up with something I like better because it's just sort of getting on my nerves. I don't like playing these Fianchetto symmetrical Grunfeld positions. But I also play e4, d4. This is most common, you know, like this reverse Tory attack type of stuff. I actually recommend this for people like bishop g4. You can also play reverse London system with bishop f5. It's very solid. Of course, white doesn't get an advantage playing the King's Indian in reverse. It's just about trying to be, you know, practical, basically. Get a position that you're comfortable with. I can't force an advantage with the white pieces playing this way with white. So here I've had this a lot, actually. And main line is c takes d. I played queen b3 in a game this April, in a tournament game. That's really tedious. I know that e takes d is more common. So am I supposed to play knight e5 or d3 or queen a4 check? Queen a4 check doesn't look dangerous. Knight e5 in itself isn't that dangerous. If knight e5, he can meet that in many ways. I got two windows open, so I'm getting these weird messages. Okay. Anyway, guys, welcome to my stream. How come the Ruy Lopez doesn't see much play nowadays? Well, because of the Berlin defense, 3 knight f6, and this endgame that arises in so many top-level games. It's just kind of over-analyzed and boring. If you can find something against the Berlin defense, the Ruy Lopez seems to be trending toward 4d3, and people are sitting there with their bishop on b5 and wondering, well, if I'm going to play something stupid like d3, then why is my bishop on b5? Like, it would be better to just play the Gioco Piano with white, and so, or Gioco Pianissimo. So, like, a lot of people are playing, you know, that's starting to actually become trendy again, playing the Gioco Pianissimo. God, I don't know what to do here. I have a headache from thinking about it. There's nothing really special, is there? C takes d5. Maybe I'm supposed to play this endgame. Doesn't seem very exciting. I'm just trying to remember. I probably looked at this. I don't know. I could have played knight e5 last move. And in that instance, I've had some people who played like knight c6, knight takes g4, knight takes g4, but that's supposed to be good for me. Yeah, I think I'm supposed to play knight e5. Damn it. After c takes, I should probably go here first. And then if bishop goes somewhere. Actually, what do I do on bishop h5 there? I must have looked at this at some point. I should go knight e5 first and then maybe like queen b3. Alright, well this is nothing special, I guess. Very solid for black. I remember looking at some lines where I actually sacked the pawn on e2. He's just trading queens right away. Some kind of equal-ish position. The double pawns are actually not that bad for white. Though in this instance they might be. Actually. Oh man. He just had bishop takes f3 and knight d4 there with the clear advantage to black. So obviously something's gone wrong here. I'm like clearly worse in 10 moves with white. Now it's okay because he played bishop c5, but if he just plays this, I'm just like losing. I mean, I literally have nothing. This is not right. Macros 42. He's 1400 in blitz. How are you 1400 in blitz, Macros? Is that an old rating or something? I just hate my position. I'm not really sure what I did wrong. Maybe I can play knight b5 and like bishop e3. God, this looks ugly. I'm only slightly worse now. Do you believe that Bobby Fischer played those very strange games on ICC? Everyone's dyslexic today. You were like e4, talking about the e5 pawn. And Arsenal fan Richie's like the h file. This is the h file. You guys need some coordinate training. Alright. Yeah, double pawns, man. Double pawns are the worst. Hate those double pawns. But they're not always that bad. But I don't know, Macros, man. He's one of our subscribers, but I still never really thought about his rating. Like, why is he 1400 in blitz? He's way too strong to be 1400 in blitz. 1800 classical is like closer to his real strength. Then again, I guess some people like started playing maybe just blitz, and then they like left it for a while and come back and they got better, and then so they haven't touched that rating. But he's no 1400. Although I have won 7-1 against him. A lot of the games are really close. He's not like a whipping boy. This is, God, this is a painful game to play. That's about all I can say. I have 0 advantage. I was lost in one move. It was horrible. Like, he could have played bishop takes f3. Bishop takes f3. Bishop takes f3. Knight d4. I have no way to defend this pawn. Literally no way to defend it. You know what? Maybe I wasn't lost, actually. Wow, that's insane. Bishop takes f3, bishop takes f3, bishop e3, knight d4, bishop e3, skewering his knight to the a7 pawn. skewering. So maybe I actually wasn't lost. But anyway, I hate my position. Which way do we take? If I take with the pawn, it gives my d3 pawn a significant amount of weakness. No, pawn takes is out of the question. I guess bishop takes. There's nothing happening on the f file. I'm just kind of groveling for a draw here with a bad restricted bishop. Technically not a bad bishop, but a very restricted bishop in this type of structure where there's 7 pawns for each side. He has a really good knight with a lot of pawns on the board. So amazingly, I wasn't losing a pawn there. Sheer luck. Now he could actually find ways to lose this ending, I guess. If the position were to open up, if I can lever it. I don't know, maybe even h4 is a good move here, gaining some space with my pawns, preventing g5. Not a big deal though. Black should be fine. It probably should be a draw. You know, you look at the white position as a beginner or something, and you might think okay, he's got double pawns, that's bad, right? But actually, not such a big deal. Actually, b4, something I can consider. To play rook c5. Black has defenses. Not really sure. I'd like to be able to play e4 at some moment, maybe g4, g5. g4, g5 looks a little bit... I don't know, I feel like I'm asking too much of this position to try to win it. You know, drawing is really not a bad result from this bad opening I had, where I got slightly worse with white. Okay, rook c3. I didn't think about that, Rich. Yeah, he'll have to try to avoid fixing my pawns, I guess. I was looking at rook c5 with the same idea. But I just... Ooh. Alright. Wow. We can actually try to force an exchange of rooks here. Well, I guess I can play rook b8. C-file doesn't mean that much. If he lets my rook range over here, he could lose something. Part of his king side could fall off. Though it's not that easy. He has a good pawn structure. It's going to be hard for me to win material. Now I was thinking maybe e4. Well, first of all, g4. Rook h8. He is going to be able to force a trade of rooks eventually. Still, it should be a draw, this position. There's no way I have an advantage here, objectively. Rook h7 is getting ridiculous. Like, I could get my rook trapped or something, no? Well, maybe it's not that ridiculous. I don't know. I want my pawns to end up on the wrong color. Black is better here, though. Take, take. Maybe I can play e4 at some point. I thought he should have maybe taken there. This player, Macros, how can you be 1400 in blitz, man? Play like this. Okay, he's 1800 classical. That's respectable. I guess he's got a really bad touchpad or something for playing blitz. I guess I would be like 1500 if I had to play on a touchpad, honestly, in blitz. I love the people who say they'll, you know, they're like 2900 and they play bullet with a touchpad. All right. Man. I just don't see myself winning this position. Yeah, he doesn't have to play g6, but actually looks kind of disturbing. Oh, I missed bishop e8 there. Jeez. He basically overpressed trying to win. I mean, there's no way I'm winning this game. I was actually barely holding on at this point when he blundered. They're like -1, it says. Let's see. King c7, king d2, knight c6, king c3. He's starting a5 here. Damn, it's like I'm like lost in this position. He just plays a5, takes with the king, and then plays a b4. And my d4 pawn is just going to fall. There's no defense for white. So it's just a totally winning position. I don't know what I did wrong in the opening. As I said, I think I should play knight e5 first. All these games with queen b3, it just looks like nothing for white. So maybe I'm right. The engine agrees. Like, I should play knight e5 here first. Pigusov. That was the name of Yelena Dembo's guinea pig. It's a really good guinea pig name. Yevgeny Pigusov. Bishop h5. Anyways, I think that's what I should do. Fantastic game by Makros, though. Played like a GM. You were actually grinding me. I was the one that might be lost there, not you. Abita Bule. It's hard to beat anybody, man. Anybody can play a good game. I have a lot of close games against people who are rated below 2,000 all the time. And a lot of them I win by the tiniest margin. It's completely normal. There's very little difference between, you know, chess players. Even like an 1800. The difference between an 1800 and like a 2200 isn't as big as you might imagine. Okay, this position, let's play bishop d7. I've had enough of knight c6 lately. I've had some success with this. This move, most people like play queen takes d7, but this move is a little more interesting, I think. Now I'm wondering if knight f6, what happens? e5, pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn, something like knight to g4. He could play e6 and destroy my pawn structure. Neuberger. Neuberger, long time no see. Neuberger. Alright, d4. Knight f6, e5 really kind of bothers me. So I guess I have to take here, huh? Theoretically, I'm thinking maybe you can even play e6. A move that you probably couldn't do in the normal Sicilian. Here it's probably not so bad. But I never learned this line. I never learned the theory of this line. I'm just kind of making it up. I have always played either bishop d7 and take with the queen, or interpose my knight on c6. Ah, c3. Now knight f6, attacking his pawn. He can play e5. Wonder if that pawn, the pawn can be protected pretty solidly, I would imagine. Unfortunately. Magnus Carlsen is he's a big expert on bishop b5 check. I always thought it was kind of insipid, but I think it appeals to Carlsen's technical style, where he likes to like win without a lot of risk, with small margin of advantage. It's extremely safe variation for white to play. It's one of those lines that kind of makes the Sicilian player groan. Anyway, we've got more than an hour left to play some more Blitz and Classical Chess here. I think I played all the subscribers, or most of them. We let those guys play first, and then I'm going to take these challenges from Alex, Tonu, and Tlatwani. Last game, Macros was actually winning. It's a pretty weird endgame with a king coming out to a5. I thought I was safe. Actually, g6 was a brilliant move. It looks wrong to put his pawns on the wrong color. You know, most people would have played f6 in that position, just traded the pawns. But I think that would have left me with a little bit of play with my bishop. Like his e6 pawn would be accessible, you know, so he wouldn't be able to do a maneuver like king a5 or something. By playing g6, although he's putting his pawns on the wrong color, he's actually creating this position where my bishop can't attack anything. And it's just symbolic that the pawns are on white squares last game. So that's actually, g6 is probably a brilliancy going against the standard kind of positional idea of putting your pawns on the wrong color for this exceptional situation where he can do that maneuver. But that opening is just really nothing for white. Here, I guess I'm just going to take the bishop pair, you know. I mean, this pawn is hanging, so nothing special. Bishops aren't that much better than knights in a vacuum, but I think they, in open positions or semi-open positions, they are slightly better. So in an early stage like this, I'm perfectly happy to let him trade. If I take with a knight, probably he's got a check on a4. An endgame is probably okay for black. Actually, he has a lot of moves here. He could take on c5. All these endgames are pretty much equal. The other option, though, taking with the queen, wasn't really inspiring to me. Just like my queen feels misplaced on f6. So, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't even play h6, but I hate this bishop b5 check stuff. Honestly, that's one of the reasons why I play like knight to c6. I find that it's more imbalanced and kind of dynamic. The best move, or the most aggressive move, is knight to d7, but it's also the riskiest. Black's development is hard to maintain there. Now maybe d5. The d5, knight e5, stuff like that starts to get kind of scary here. I could play pawn takes pawn. Normally I don't like playing pawn takes pawn if a knight's going to come out to a really good square on c3, like in the advanced Caro-Kann or French or whatever, advanced French. But this situation looks like another example where his knight, you know, isn't going to be that well placed on d2. I'd like to play d5, but there's one technical problem that he might have knight e5 or something like that. We might be able to do a Karpov type of thing where we put our king on e7. But it's obviously risky. Something like d5, knight e5, bishop d6, queen a4 check, king e7. Too risky, really, to justify, I think. I just have to play lame development here with bishop e7. Just totally equal. My bishop, not really that dangerous. Better if you have the bishop pair, a single bishop. White can basically put everything on white squares so that there's nothing for me to attack, basically. I wouldn't put too much stock in what happens in like blitz and rapid chess games. You know, it's very entertaining to watch, but it's not really serious chess. Oh, another thing I noticed, I was looking on Chess Bomb, and there's like a tournament to commemorate this young Russian grandmaster who died last year, this Yeliseyev Memorial. But for some reason, like, these guys, Daniil Dubov and Fedoseev, and I think a bunch of, like, the top Russian young grandmasters are having this tournament, but it's unrated, okay? Like, I looked at some of the games, and they're just, like, ridiculous. I mean, seriously, I'm playing unrated games here on lichess. It's blitz, and that's one thing, but, like, to have tournaments that are unrated, it seems really stupid. The games are just kind of garbage, and it doesn't seem like anybody's taking it seriously. I can't see the purpose in having a unrated tournament like that. The only unrated tournament I've ever played in is at the chess club. They used to have an unrated tournament on New Year's Day. But I can understand having an unrated tournament on New Year's Day. You know, people are just like with really bad hangovers and stuff. But in general, I don't see the point in unrated tournaments. Games are just crap from that Yeliseyev tournament. They're just doing whatever, just kind of fooling around, sacrificing pieces for nothing. But I mean, here, d5, knight e5 check, king e8. I kind of like this for black. It's not absolutely necessary, though. d5, knight e5 check, king e8. Pawn takes pawn, knight takes pawn, then knight e4. He's got another good knight. What else can I do? I don't know. Trading rooks wholesale is really nothing special. We can trade one rook and think about it. I don't have to trade the second rook, I guess. Just kind of hang out. Although he might have this sort of rook lift that looks troubling. If I can put my pawns on the right color, I would theoretically have an edge here with d5. First, my king has to be able to cover the f7 pawn. And anyway, it's probably not enough to win. There's really no risk to black, but in order to win, it's going to be kind of hard. I'm not trying to take risks and do crazy stuff. I'm basically trying to play correctly. If I really desperately had to beat this player in a tournament game, I probably wouldn't trade so many pieces, but objectively, I'm trying to play correct chess. I mean, I could try to make the game more complicated and swindle him somehow with some weird unsound stuff. But I focus on trying to play strategically correct chess, as if I was playing a really high-rated player or something. I mean, how would I play if I was playing a GM? You know, something like this. Now, I guess I'm threatening d5 when we do have a slight edge, it looks like. He played e5, which doesn't solve all of his problems. These pawns are all fixed on dark squares. Well, this isn't permanent, but these two are permanent. Still, I don't know if there's enough for white to realistically lose. Probably it's still a draw if he plays well from here. Just a couple pawns fixed on the wrong color is not enough to necessarily lose a game. I don't really like the fact that my pawns on the king side are on the wrong color on h6. I'd rather have them on like h5 and g6. That will slightly weaken my structure though. My king is more active than white's. My knight is on a good square. Unfortunately, not all chess games are very exciting. I had a crazy game yesterday in my tournament game. But here we are playing this kind of dry position now. that's the way it is. You can't always have an exciting game where like stuff gets sacrificed. 99% of tactics don't work. That's my theory. All right. Time will probably decide here. But any kind of structural advantage in a knight endgame is lasting and very serious. It's not like there's heavy pieces on the board. Yeah, any pawns on dark squares. Immobilize my own bishop. It also helps him to set up like a bind on the white squares. This is good though for me. A3, another pawn on the wrong color. Maybe I can play A4, fix his pawn on the dark square where it can be attacked. Now his knight is like almost trapped. I was about to lose on time. Now I'm breaking with the principles here to put a pawn on dark squares. I'm just trying to trap his knight on B7 basically. I need to take control of the E5 square. Now his knight is... It's not totally trapped because he has this move. But it's basically imprisoned for life. Hung a piece. He put too many pawns on the dark squares. This is very bad for him. So I think if we look at the graph, it'll show that like he was equal until like 10 moves ago. Now he's just a little bit worse. Minus 0.6 according to the computer. That's actually getting pretty significant. When I played A5, I mean A3 is a really bad move for white, but he's already worse here. I have a better king, better minor piece. The bishop is, believe it or not, better than the knights here. Apparently I had knight F4, which I didn't see. So, surprisingly, okay, he's playing without a king. You know, his king really should get into the game. Alright, Alex is up next. And then Arsenal fan Richie, you're just... I'll play you next. You should play games against people with under 1800 rating blindfolded. Neuberger, I actually thought about trying blindfold because I haven't done it in like 20 years. So it's going to take some practice. I know like Timur Gariev wasn't born playing blindfold chess. Apparently he had to practice like insane amounts to get to be a great blindfold player. I'm definitely going to have to think about it, but it's going to take some practice. I think at my best point, like 20 years ago, I actually did a simul against like 6 players blindfolded once. But if you don't do it, it's like you're going to completely forget how to do it. I could play one game blindfolded, but I haven't even done that in basically 20 years. I would have to practice. Would require an assistant? No, on chess, on lichess, like it doesn't require an assistant because you can just play games, and there's a feature that you might want to know about on the site. You can actually like click a feature that makes the pieces disappear during your games. I think some people have done that here before. Okay, it's not clearly a King's Indian attack yet. We're going to wait and see what he's going to do. Although e5 is a fine move, I don't normally like to play e5 setups against the closed Sicilian with knight c3. Okay, I don't think that bishop g5 really matters too much. We can kick him out with h6. This is not really a standard move. I have seen some variations where white does an early bishop g5, but not... I don't remember in this position. Maybe it's possible. I don't really see any specific independent value with bishop g5. Normally, that would not be played. Now he is threatening... he is threatening to play d4, I guess, so we should think about this. Seems like h6. I've never played this exact position that I can recall. Maybe it makes some sense. I think I had a game with white with colors reversed against Mika Brattain, who's like a pretty strong FIDE master. Like almost the exact same position. I suppose b6 is reasonable here. But it's not necessary right away. Maybe I should play rook b8 and get my rook off the long diagonal. I don't know, though. If I do that, if I play rook b8 and then he plays d4 and I take and he takes and I play d5, now my rook's actually going to be on the wrong square. So maybe it's best to just do like b6 and meet d4 with take d5. Where do I want my rook to end up depends on like what structure he erects here in the center. If he plays d4 and I take it, he can also take with the knight. But I wonder now if I should even take. Grandmaster Win Wok Tronkson, who I played a lot in Budapest, he's now like 2680. When playing black in these type of systems, he usually, I was surprised, he would just like leave that tension in the center. He wasn't afraid of like d5 or taking on c5 or anything. Maybe that's the way to approach this. Like I don't have to stress at all here. You know, he basically, he can play d5. It's just a kind of like Benoni type of thing, which isn't actually that bad for me. Maybe I should just castle or play bishop b7. I wonder about e5. I have a lot of options though. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, d5 ends up in some kind of weird Benoni. It's probably playable for both sides. This looks really solid for white. Maybe bishop a6. Also d5 is possible at some point. But if I play d5, then takes, knight takes, he can probably just take on c5. We'll just try to play something fluid. I don't remember playing this guy before. This was a game a long time ago. 8+3. Yeah, I think that bishop a6 just attacks a piece for the sake of attacking it. I'm not that thrilled about it. It's a common mistake that a lot of people make. Maybe it's time to take, clarify the situation. He can take either with the pawn or with the knight. If he took with the knight, I was going to trade knight takes, and then if he does bishop takes, play e5 and d5. You know, now I can consider playing d5, going into a French type of structure. I feel like I'm playing Alexander Strapunsky or something. Just a very solid clamp type formation for white. Also very fast. But his ratings are fairly consistent, like 1800 in blitz, 2000 classical. It's not like there's a 400 or 500 point difference. Sometimes I see that, I'm like, how is that possible? How can you be like 1400 in blitz and like 1900 in classical? With the 200 point difference, it's actually fairly standard here. I'm just going to play as solid as possible. I don't really want to commit to d5. This is like maximum solid setup for black. I was thinking if he plays d5, I can take it, play knight e5, and when he plays knight takes e5, I might be able to just take with the pawn, leaving his d5 pawn like isolated and very weak on d5. So he has to be careful about lunging forward with the pawns, basically. It's not so easy, but so far it looks like a Grandmaster game from the first Saturday GM tournament or something. Both sides playing very correctly. Looks like Kosic against Win Ngoc Trongson. A game I saw a long time ago. Basically, just a draw. Both sides refuse to take any kind of serious risk. This is another strong move by white. h4 is appropriate in this sort of structure, I think. They go for knight on f5. And white has a space advantage. I mean, that should give him some small edge here. I guess I could also play knight g8, but that's very, very passive. If I have to, I'll take his bishop on e3. Not really excited about the prospect, but if I have to, I have to. It is, you know, it is pretty strong, actually, creating threats against my king side. It's a bad bishop on paper, but it's a bad bishop that's pretty dangerous. I honestly don't know what he's thinking about here. Is he thinking about like taking on d5 and playing knight c4 or something? e5 seems like it's like a almost automatic move. Wonder if it was better for white to recapture the bishop rather than the pawn on d4. Well, I thought the knight takes, actually. Bishop takes is really weird. Okay. You know, basically, I'm pinned on the d file. I can break the pin several different ways. I mean, queen a4 is sort of interesting. Rook fd8 does develop a piece. I guess I recapture with the queen. I'm not sure though. Maybe I should take back with the rook, leaving myself pinned. I guess I gain a little bit of development in the deal. I don't really like these kind of structures, to be honest. I try to never play d5 too early in the closed Sicilian. But sometimes you just have to. I felt like it was almost forced. Looks like our only hope is winning on time. All right, now bishop f1. Clear, you know, clear threats on the white squares. I guess I can take on e4 though. Eventually this pawn will be hanging on e5. I didn't really want to take it and allow bishop takes h6. Even that was possible though. But now he's lost some control of the center by playing bishop f1. Well, this move is easy to answer. I only have one move. That's simple enough. But I don't know, how much play does he get here on the queen side? Knight takes looks really bad. I think I have to take with the b. I don't want my knight on c8. I want my knight going to d5, I guess. He may get some threats, but right now he's guarding e5. This walks right into that. And that walks into knight b6. Alright, let's just play this. He's got to worry about his e5 pawn. I thought, but I may be wrong. Yeah. A knight d6 is possible though. Knight d6. Shit. Alright, something like knight d6, knight f5. Going for d4 and f3 ultimately, starting to stop him, trying to stop him from knight d6 as well, as I can take and play e5 in that line. Okay, I'm going to take back here. Undermining his center. This actually wins a piece. I mean, I think he was better, you know, at some point out of the opening. I'm curious if this has, like, been played before. Bishop g5 is a really rare move. No games with that. Yet it seems logical. Now we transposed. Some old Hungarian masters there. The engine likes e5 for me. This is Fusti Jolt against Istvan Meyer from 1995. Old school. Yeah, e5 now would transpose. Okay, that's probably what I should play here. It didn't occur to me. That is what I played. No, I played b6 here. So e5, d4. I should play e5. If d4, I take and play like bishop g4, maybe? Can I do this? Not that clear, apparently. Wow. Anyway, interesting stuff. New ideas. I don't know. Bishop g5. Surprising that there's no games there at all. Ayesta, did we play today? All right. I'm going to take these two subscriber games, and then I'm going to play Tonu and Tlatuani. We should have time for those games for today. Arsenal fan. Yeah, I think the e5. No, I mean, I don't know why I didn't think of e5, because I oftentimes do that, ironically. I like to play e5, e6, and then e5. It's one of my standard schemes. But for some reason, I don't know, for some reason, that's what I did against Mika Bratin with colors reversed, actually. I played e3 and then e5, basically the same thing. So what is this exactly? It's a Grunfeld. Some kind of weird King's Indian now. Fianchetto King's Indian, it could transpose to a normal line. One of my students plays this kind of line for white. We were always looking at weird permutations of like d5 or something. Oh my, look at that. Just what I was talking about. So, yeah, you can play this as a pawn sacrifice. Damn, dude, that's interesting. Though you will transpose to... This looks pretty similar to a game I had in the spring, actually. I don't have to take. The other approach is e5, or CD and e5. Man of many openings, Arsenal fan. Very dynamic pawn sacrifice by black. The question is, should I take the pawn or go the other route with e5? You know, that's probably positionally better. You can see a game I played in Zalakarosh in June or May last year, in May, against an Indian FIDE master, Harsha or something like that. Against Harsha, it was like colors reversed. Every game I seem to have something where I usually get it with colors reversed here. Man, dude. Pretty fast, buddy. Alright, against Harsha, we had something like knight f4, g5. I was like in a state of shock when the guy played g5. Extremely weakening move for black. With colors reversed, though, I think that black's play makes more sense. He has an extra tempo. Here, Rich is trying to do that with the black pieces, and I think you're asking a little bit too much to be able to play like ultra aggressive gambits with black. It's a slightly yeah, it's very related, Neuberger, to the Caro-Kann Panov. It's much like that. Absolutely. Today we did not play. Yesterday and today blurring into one. I had a training game against one of my students where I wedged a rook on e5 in this type of position to defend the d5 pawn, and then I was going to sacrifice the exchange if he tried to attack it. You know, I think this is a legitimate strategic plan for me. Anyways, rook e1 is a good move. It was a slightly different position. Harshit, Raha Harshit, that was the name of the guy. Raha Harshit. He did the same setup with knight d7 and knight b6 with colors reversed. But I think technically black's better doing like knight a6 instead of knight bd7. Okay, I'm not really sure what's going on here, but we will see. Try to take material wherever possible. I'm not that sure if I want to take the pawn on e7 because he has queen b6, knight a4, queen a6, knight c5, queen b6. My queen is like trapped on e7. Or I can retreat my queen. Actually, that's not so bad, is it? No, he has another move there. Queen b4. So I shouldn't take the pawn, in fact. I should just consolidate my position. He just moves like instantaneously every single move. I mean, I guess it's natural to defend the rook on e7, but you should at least think a little bit. I'm like taking like 30 seconds a move. Now, I talked about g5 being weakening. This is a little different, though, because I've reinforced it with h3. It's a typical Caro-Kann, like Neuberger said. Panov type of pawn sacrifice. Yeah, like just a better version. He doesn't really have any good counterplay. I really like the e5 square. Also giving my bishop f4, getting in the game. That piece was obstructed. Guys, we have like 40 minutes left for the stream, so we should have time for 3 more games. These guys, don't anybody else challenge me, because I think that's all we're gonna have time for. Basically the 3 games, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, and 10 minutes. That's exactly 40 minutes. That's how much time we have left, so no new challenges, please. Tomorrow night, I do Tuesday nights casual fun tournament on lichess. I think we're gonna do 7+2 classical tomorrow night. It's kind of a popular time control. I know that some of the guys who like faster games don't like it, but we're pretty much divided here amongst my my viewers. But I lean toward more slower time controls, so I usually do either 7+2 or 5+2. Lichess, only allowing up to a 2-second increment in the tournaments that you organize or set up yourself. Queen b6, good move. Now maybe I have to put my knight on c5 temporarily. I was really hoping for e5, but maybe we'll reserve that for a bishop. Looks like an excellent position for white. Actually, Arsenal fan doesn't play the Caro-Kann, you know, so I would think it would be hard to just adapt to a totally, you know, new type of position. For a Caro-Kann player who faces the Panov a lot, I guess this type of position would be pretty normal. But again, if you don't play the black side of the Panov, I would think this would be a kind of a difficult position to adjust to. Bishop b5. I guess I was just going to take it. We might have g5 in one moment. Not just yet. So we've got to develop and protect our stuff. He's starting to get pretty good counterplay. Never seem to have a tactic or anything. We're only one pawn up, so my advantage is not that big, actually. He got rid of his bishop. Looks like black is almost okay here. He's actually been scoring really well against me lately, like 3.5 out of his last 6. I think there he missed a really strong move. Knight c7. It looks like I have knight a4, but he has queen a5 there. Oh no, maybe he has queen a5 there. Maybe he didn't see that, you know. Oh, I have a trick. Knight c7, knight takes b7, queen takes b7, d6, knight d5, and then something crazy like g5. I can't calculate that far. So maybe he saw that and decided not to risk it. He thought for a long time on that move. That's the only thing I can think of, that he rejected knight c7 because of knight takes b7 and d6. But the line is very complicated. Here we go with the structure again. Oh man, this is just weird. What am I doing? I was going to move my knight away from there? That's probably not a really good idea. Okay, let's just develop a piece. The only problem for him is the b7 pawn being tied down to that. If not for that, he would be fully okay here. Still, he may be fully okay. Brilliant positional play by black. Maybe I should have played g5, actually. If I do play g5 there... Okay, this is a weird move, knight d7. Funny, I was just talking about g5. He's threatening knight b5 or something? Let's just reinforce d4. Not easy. Positional maneuvering of the highest level. Got to get rid of that, man. That's killing me. The knight is killing me. I'm trading my knight on c5 for a knight on b6. Is that really... What? Knight a8? What? Dude. Alright. This is getting, like, out of control. I went to c7. Damn, dude. Knight a8. Emery Tate style. Arsenal seems like a very dangerous player, very talented, just a little bit too... He's just a little impulsive at times. Fundamentally, black's position was okay. Okay, it's not easy to constantly fend off threats. Okay, the tournament is on Tuesday night. We're playing 7+2. Tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central European time. I think that Arsenal fan had that knight c7 earlier. That would have pretty much solved most of his problems. Still, it's not that easy for me here. Instantly. Jeez, dude. It's like playing a master. Man, what am I supposed to do? Alright, this. What am I doing now? Damn. Even now he has resources. I'm not even sure about this. What's going on? Take bishop f4. I mean, our d-pawn should count for something now. So we have back rank mate. Man, it wasn't easy beating him. I mean, 1861, he's worth every point. Damn. I think he was totally okay. If we go back to that point where he had knight c7, he allowed this trick. Okay, knight takes b7. I thought knight a8 was totally over the top, by the way. Knight takes a4 and play rook c8 or something, you know. I mean, or even rook d7. This is going a little bit too far. Of course, the computer says I'm like +1. I'm up a pawn. But it's not that easy to win this position for white, objectively. This is a little bit insane. I mean, I have a knight on c5. It's so strong. And I was even questioning myself for playing knight a4, honestly. You know, this knight is extremely like my best piece. You know, I'm going knight a4 and then you go knight a8. I mean, that seems a bit crazy. So here, I thought just take and play like rook d7. I mean, I don't have a passed pawn, so how do I win? You know, it's not that easy. All right. So we're gonna play these Mrs. Unobservant. I don't have time for another challenge. I barely have time for these three. Let's play Tonu, and then he's been waiting the whole time. And then I'll play Ayesta and Tlatoani. Knight A8, man. I mean, my knight was like on C5 in your face, and then I was like, why did I just move it to A4? In the minute when I was actually thinking like I'm an idiot for moving my knight off of C5. You're like playing Knight A8 to avoid the exchange. Wow, Tonu Heinmetz is 2300. That's solid. Okay, that's his classical. He's lower in 2100 in the other time controls. Master strength player, basically. That's like, his rating is like a typical candidate master, FIDE candidate master. Probably. I would guess with these ratings that Tonu would be around 2200 FIDE. King Crusher. At least King Crusher level. Of course, there's a wild, you know, there's a pretty big difference between different people who are rated like 2150, 2200 FIDE. Some of them are quite strong and some of them are not. You never allowed me to grab your pawn. Well, I'm trying not to let you grab any pawns there, but I thought you did well considering you don't even play the Caro-Kann, Richie. I mean, I think that kind of position for a Caro-Kann player is pretty standard, but I thought you would be out of your element completely there. I guess the real question is in the opening, you know, should I take the pawn or not? Probably it would be better for me not to take the pawn. I'm more of a positional player. I think next time I'll go for like E5 and not grabbing the pawn on D5. I don't really like the structure. No, I didn't play King Crusher lately. I mean, we have a few blitz games. Just like 3 times I've ever played him in a blitz game, but I'm just guessing that, you know, rating wise, he's probably about the same strength as my opponent here. Knight C6 is a pretty rare move. And I never really know how to react, honestly. It's tempting to play D5, but it's a little overextending. If you look in the lichess data opening explorer, or whatever you want to call it, probably not too many games with knight to C6 in this position. I'm just going to play fluidly. I think that D5 is possible, but I'm not sold on it. I think the computer will probably go for D5, but the computer can calculate a lot more than me. I have tried stuff like D5 and putting my knight on D4, but it's not actually that good because black will answer with C5, and there's some questions about my knight. Now this position I might have actually had before. I'm actually thinking about taking and trading queens and playing knight to D5. But he can probably sack an exchange or something. Oh god. I didn't mean I wanted to do it, lichess. I just... Did I click on E5 before? Because I don't remember the first click on E5. Did you guys see me click on E5? I don't have to click twice, right? Just once. That was not a click, but whatever. I don't want to take back, it's okay. I don't know, I didn't make up my mind if I was going to play like D5 or takes or castle, because all three are possible here. If he takes with the pawn, queen takes queen, rook takes queen, knight D5. I'm not so sure how good this is for me. I can win a pawn, but I lose the initiative a little bit. Then again, if I don't do that, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, basically. And I really feel stupid for playing pawn takes pawn. I think in a vacuum, I would probably prefer to play D5 here and turn it into a normal King's Indian and play knight D2. That's what I was probably gonna do, but now we're committed to playing this. Sometimes this is just really good for white. I have queen takes queen. Here I have like queen takes queen, bishop takes f6, and knight d5, but it's not that great for white because he's going to get some counterplay. He's always going to get some counterplay here. And I don't normally play the exchange variation against the King's Indian or have any faith in that. But it was an idea I wanted to look at a little bit more deeply. Yeah, Neuberger. I mean, of course, knight c65, knight b8. But he can also play interesting stuff like knight a5. I'm not sure that knight b8 is the only move. But yeah, you can also play knight e5, which is sometimes not that good, but bang, bang, bang. So knight to d5, knight takes d5, bishop takes d8. I might have actually looked at this once. He also has rook d6, you know, and what I want to say, Rajabov style. Knight d5, rook d6. But there's knight d5, knight takes d5, bishop takes d8, knight to b4. Which is probably one of these computer lines that is good for black. I probably looked at this in an obscure game I played or something. Knight d5, knight takes d5, bishop takes d8, knight to b4. Threatening to win my rook or the exchange back. At the end of the day, black seems pretty good there. But then again, like if I don't do that, my only other option is to take on f6 and play knight d5. And then try to take his pawn on c7, but I'm just kind of like losing the initiative. I don't know what else to do though. I don't like the other line a whole lot. But this is sort of materialistic. No, it seems like whatever happens, black will get compensation for his sacrificed pawn. Basically, maybe I should castle queenside or something. Then I can never take the pawn on c7 without like allowing like a devastating attack for black. I had a similar game against Jay Bonin once in a line in the same-ish King's Indian where I took this pawn on c7. Black gets the initiative, but this is really honestly a mouse slip. Just a disclaimer. I don't think I would do d takes e5 in a real game. Alright. Knight takes c7, rook b8, and then what? Or he could get really frisky with like e4. Rook b8. Something like knight to... Still knight b4 is going to come in. Knight back to d5 probably. Then e4. And then knight d2. And then bishop takes b2. Rook b1. Move bishop. Knight takes e4. I don't really know what else to do, honestly. I mean, but I feel like black has got to be okay here. At least okay. It's not dangerous, I think. He's got very good compensation for the sacrificed pawn. Kind of materialistic line. If I just draw, I'll probably be happy, honestly. e4. d4 takes e5, just lame for white. Oh, e4 for white. Well, yeah, I mean, I could do e4. That's true. But it's not a one-way street. You know, it gives up the d4 square. He has all sorts of threats like knight b4. He can play f5. Okay, it's a move I should consider. Maybe he can also go e4 himself there. So e4 was a suggestion here. Yeah, it may not be that bad. But he has knight to b4 there. I guess I can just... I intuitively know that black has plenty of compensation. If e4, my dark squares are just gone. But it still may be the best move. I was thinking knight d2 or knight d5. Knight d5 first to stop knight to b4. Let's see, e4. f5 is the other problem. Maybe the larger problem is f5 on e4. It looks pretty gross. If I allow e4 and go knight d2 and then he goes f5, that actually looks bad for me too. So knight d5, e4, knight d2. Well, I think we're going to take our chances with this. e4 creates a lot of weaknesses on the dark squares. This isn't like a panacea either. Black is just very active here. Probably black is just better. He also had another interesting move there. Maybe he could have played let's see, instead of e4, I was thinking, no, I don't want to say it. It'll probably give him ideas. Hey, Yellow Dragoon. Wow, okay, so he's playing this as a long-term pawn sack now with f5. Castling queenside is pretty insane. I'm not on board for that. I wouldn't mind playing like rook b1 or something. I'm just not down with castling into that bunch of pieces coming down on me. Castles now. Got to get out of here before it gets any worse. Black with a massive initiative for the sacrificed pawn. White just holding on, you know, at best here. He's just going for it. This was a bad move. Ooh, that was a real stinker. Oh man, f4. Was it bad? It was bad, right? f4 is horrible. The worst move ever. He took. No, you should just take on c4, and then you're just owning me completely. Now I have a chance to draw, probably. You know, in the other line, I was just dead in the water after knight takes c4. Now it's like ugly, but maybe I can draw. Still, it's bad. What if I take here? Not a great move, is it? Okay, there's no easy answers. Unfortunately, this is a draw. I was getting crushed, man. I mean, that position has to be lost. Not sure g4 is really a good move, but it's still a draw. This is actually kind of a stupid move. I'm so happy that I have a drawn position at least. But I don't want to offer draw. I mean, he's like slightly better, so it feels kind of rude. Okay, you can offer draw here probably, but in general, I don't like to offer draws in worse positions. It's not like really good etiquette. He lost a pawn and it's still a draw. You know you have a good position when you can just like drop a pawn and it's still a draw. Alright. I could theoretically try to flag him, but I mean there's no way I'm winning this position on position. So alright, man. Anyway, I feel lucky that I even drew. Alright, let's play the last two games. Let me just see. This is just really bad what I did in the opening. I didn't mean to play d takes e. There's only one game, shockingly, an old Axel Bachmann game. I think d takes e is just lame. I should play d5 there. So the computer's claiming knight d5 here, but I thought he can counter sacrifice. You know, this is really... There is this. As well, which is interesting, but I thought like this was the final word that the computer said. But apparently this is playable for me. I didn't remember the evaluation, I just remember this is what the engine said, and I thought, okay, black has the initiative, but maybe it's not that great. We'll have to have a good look at this later. It looks like white's still better, according to the computer, so if that's the case. The other move I was thinking about was rook d6. Can he do this? Well, I have a fork on e8, so it's no good. I didn't see that. Bishop takes, knight takes c7, and knight e8. Alright, well, now we know. I'm going to play Ayeste and Tilwani. These are the last games for today, guys. I'm going to be back tomorrow night. We're going to do a viewer tournament. Yellow Dragoon, hope you're doing well, man. We're going to have a viewer tournament tomorrow night. 7+2. And, invisible prizes, but that's alright. Anyway, I won the last 2 weeks. We got to get some strong players in the viewer tournament on Tuesday. If I'm winning the tournament, there's something wrong, you know. So, alright, Ayeste with a really crazy simul game yesterday. We had rook and bishop pawn, rook and bishop pawn against rook. I was on the defending side and made a draw, but I misplayed it and Ayeste could have won. We had this game, I played this once against Igor Novikov. No, it was a different line. I played e4, okay. Slightly different. I'm not sure how good queen b3 is, actually. What am I thinking? No, it was this line, sorry. It was this line against Novikov. He played a5. And we had a blitz game a couple weeks ago against a strong player here in this line. Basically, I'm taking away bishop b4 check so I can play e4. Now white should have like a slight edge or some nominal advantage. I'm going to play one more game, man. I got to get out of here. I promised Flatwani. So come by the stream more often, Yellow Dragoon, if you got time. Anyway, drop by tomorrow night if you're not doing anything and play some blitz games. We need more strong players in my viewer tournament. Last couple weeks, I was one of the only high-rated players. I've got to get out of here in like 10 minutes, basically. So we're going to finish this game, play a 5-0, 5-3. Then it's martini time. I'm just kidding. Afternoon drinking is very dangerous for me. My worst experiences with alcohol were usually brought on by starting too early. Queen e7. And okay. So this is not theory. He did something wrong to give me like an edge, but it's kind of a fleeting advantage if one isn't careful here. My pieces are kind of strangely set up. I mean, the queen on b3, I'm not sure what that's even about. Ivan Sokolov would like castle queenside or something. I just can't really bring myself to do that. You know, it's like, how do I conduct an attack in this position? I don't really have any clear coordination for like attacking his king. I mean, I could do things like h4, rook h3, e5, rook g3 maybe. But I've lost so many times in the Moscow variation to strong players. I'm afraid to do anything. Speaking of Ivan Sokolov, I lost to him one time with white in the New York Open. Just like overextended myself and got crushed. My e5 pawn just like dissolved and fell off the board. It's really easy to do like e5 and just lose the pawn later on when black breaks the center. So I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do here. It's like very tempting to do e5, but after bishop c7, what's my follow-up, you know? You really got to have a plan. I don't really like my queen on b3 particularly either. I don't see what this does. I mean, it does attack b7, but all I can do is like put my rooks in the center of the board and pretend I'm doing something useful. He's now threatening e5, I guess. Because f7 is guarded for the first time. I feel like I have to do e5, but I hate this. You know, it looks nice, like I have a space advantage, but I've got to be very careful not to have overextended myself. Maybe rook ae1, rook ad1. Queen c2 is another idea. Just so many games I've lost with white against grandmasters in this structure. If my queen was on a normal square like e2, I could put it on e4 and try to do something on the king side. But what does it do on b3? It's like ridiculous. Yellow Dragoon, you definitely qualify as a strong player. Are you playing in the World Junior or? I didn't really follow the chat there. We need to reposition the queen here. Now, of course, Ayesta has improved the position of a lot of his pieces. I have knight e4 avoiding exchanges. I think that's okay. You know what? He can play like bishop a5, but I really don't care. I'll put my rook on f1. I mean, the bishop on a5, it will take away like his control of d6 and stuff, so if he wants to do that, that's fine. It's a price he has to pay for putting a bishop out there on a5 if he wants to go that route. Magus has no online experience. In what, like telemarketing or? I think the only thing Magnus doesn't have a lot of is like real match experience. He's played Anand, who didn't seem to care, and then one like really tough match against Karyakin where he basically almost didn't win. I mean, it's like a really non-impressive victory. Karyakin played his heart out in that match, but I think that Magnus, you know, he could lose to someone with more match experience. I think, again, like, okay, Kramnik's not been playing well. 2 years ago, I would have said Kramnik was a good match for Carlsen, but now lately seems like Kramnik is sort of fading. But Aronian, you know, or anybody, even Mamedyarov, I mean, well, then again, Mamedyarov doesn't have that much match experience, but I mean, Aronian, it's going to be interesting. I'm just praying somehow that, like, Aronian actually qualifies for the World Championship, because that is the match that's like destined to happen, you know. And so far Carlsen has avoided it, but if Magus has to play Aronian in a match, I'm not sure what's going to happen, honestly. You think that Magus has never played online chess? Dude, what year was he born? I mean, are you kidding me? He's never going to like openly do it, like, and tell people his name, you know. I mean, everybody knew since he was like 2500 that he's going to be like a world-class player. So I'm sure like even 10 years ago he was protecting his identity as far as playing online. Most grandmasters don't even go to the trouble. I mean, a lot of them protect their identities, but not that, you know, overtly like it's life or death, you know. I mean, Magnus may play on chess.com for commercial reasons, but I mean, he probably like purposely doesn't play his like main openings and stuff, even when he does play on chess.com. He'll probably handicap himself by playing other stuff. So we've managed to avoid exchanges, but still we have to make progress. Got a rook back. Yeah, but this is different now. I was thinking of going up here. True coordination. We have a space advantage. We can just rove it over here. The roving rook. Rook g4, rook h4. Much easier to play this position for white now than black. Maybe I should think about playing h3 though, just in the interest of back rank mate. As I said earlier, the bishop on a5 is pretty strange. Oh, bishop b6, clear plan there. It's kind of a weird move, but I want to keep him contained. What I really ought to do is play b4, but that would weaken my queen side. Our best chance to win here is on time. I promised one more game to Tatwani, 5-3. I'm going to go a little over time with that game, but it's okay. Okay, now this is like dramatically weakening the black king side for the sake of liberating his position a little bit. This looks strong though for me. All of my pieces are like fully activated except for the rook on c1. Actually, I have knight f1 in case of back rank mate threats. There start to be Mamedyarov-esque sort of threats on the king side. Tactics trainer. Aronian versus Dingley Ren. But I just want to see Carlsen play somebody really strong who has experience playing matches. Actually, Aronian, not as much as some of the older guys, obviously. You know, but all the older players with a lot of match experience are just starting to fade, you know, like Gelfand. Kramnik. It's attacking my d-pawn. Dude, stay away from my d-pawn. I need that pawn. Not allowed to have my d-pawn. I'll find a different way. I'll find a different way in. What did he play last time? Well, he didn't have this position exactly. He had like queen. He's going to lose on time. Almost. And even rook takes h6 is interesting, but got to be careful about this h3 move. You had the same hallucination I did, you know, that this is pinned. That's why I'm saying I have to be careful, but not that careful. All right, guys, last game. I don't know, final position I'm better, but it's not that easy. Very unpleasant position for black. I'm winning according to the engine, but I didn't see like a clear breakthrough. 5+3. I can't play any more games, guys. This is the last one for today. He was under a lot of pressure there. Checkmate. Yeah, I like f5 against c4, okay. It's okay. I normally like to play like d4, knight c3, or knight f3, f5, d3, but I don't really have any fun lines against like the straight up c4, f5. The Simon Williams defense. Is that what this is? I play so many different move orders with white that I don't have a very good system worked out. We'll just play this normal classical Dutch, I guess. I don't know what Williams recommends, if queen e8 is the main move. I don't really remember the theory very well. I guess a lot of people are playing like knight e4 instead. That was a trend for a while. This is Ilya Janevsky variation. There used to be a line. Actually, I saw a game the other day in this line. I don't remember how it went down though. Some people claiming like a5 is not a good move. But isn't this like normal? I definitely haven't been watching my Simon Williams videos, man, so if he's got any tricks up his sleeves in this position, I'm probably ripe to fall for it. I just play too many different things against the Dutch, so I rarely find myself in the main lines anymore. Although I used to play like main line. There's some question about a5. I heard people talking about whether or not that's good. But this particular position is probably a mistake. So, Wesley, we can get a lot of pressure on e4. I think this is bad for black. Normally knight d7 is never good. He might have some tricks with queen h5 later on. But his whole position will fall apart if he loses the e6 pawn. So let's say knight b6, rook e1, queen h5, knight takes e6, bishop takes e6, rook takes e6, knight g4 with threat of rook takes f3. I just like have to watch out there. He could do like a quick checkmate on h2. That's basically his only threat. Just bishop d8 looks dangerous for black. I mean, rook e1 might be even stronger now. There's always bishop h3, but it kind of weakens my king side, so I'm not sure I'm really down with that. Rook e1, weakening f2 is not that significant. Whoops, almost played pawn to e1. And now, for my next trick, we can do knight takes and d5. That should make the most sense, right? Yeah, that's got to be right. We can take with the pawn on e6 and just have this like really threatening pawn constantly forking him on e7. And you know, I expect like bishop takes e6, d5, queen h5. It's important that my rook is protected. He doesn't have tricks like bishop f5 or something like that. Guys, last game. Now I could consider taking with a rook actually. I'm talking about taking with a pawn. Positionally speaking, taking with a rook is interesting. But he has the knight g4 ideas I was talking about. And I've got to watch that. I mean, I may need to play h4 at some point. So it feels like this is a little more troublesome. The pawn creates some threats, and well, I don't think it's going to really matter here, but theoretically my bishop maybe has more squares. I guess on knight g4 there are some other moves besides h4, but it looks practically forced. Rook takes f3, bishop takes f3, bishop takes h4. I can just trade stuff off. And I'm threatening e7, which is always a problem for black. So I don't think he played this correctly, but still there's some tricks. The Budapest Gambit. Yeah, Soltigo, have you played that? I recently had a feeling like I want to try the Budapest Gambit. I only ever played it in like one tournament game. Don't play the Budapest Gambit while smoking dope. That's my only advice. Rook e8. This is looking pretty good for me, but I want to get the rest of the pieces in the game. He is threatening to win my pawn, but I have knight d4 at some point. b3, a4, is that a problem? It feels like a4 would give him a little bit of counterplay, but maybe not. I just play like b3. I mean bishop b2, let him take on b3. I'm not sure that this is really a good move, but it secures c4. Prepares bishop b2. If a4, I just ignore it. Recapture on a1 with my bishop. I can reinforce e6 with the queen if I have to. Knight d4, it may be good. Just it's a really dubious position for black. You can either play the Budapest or you can smoke dope. Yeah, don't do both at the same time. Or don't play the Budapest Gambit like shortly after smoking dope, okay? Because it's definitely not a good idea. You might be able to play it when you're sober, not under the influence of any kind of psychedelic. That's anyway what my life experience has taught me. Bishop to b2. There's the a4 that we thought was coming. Yeah, there's a lot of moves here. I mean, knight d4 looks good. It's a monster square. This actually comes in. There's no rook on f8, so knight g4. Knight g4 might still be a good move. He could artificially cut me off from my e6 pawn, but I just have h3, knight e5. His pawn is actually hard to grab on b7 because I'll be hanging my h3 pawn in some line. So he should go here probably, and then h3's forced, and then knight e5, which isn't so easy. Now rook b8, which is very passive for black. We have like knight f5 now, which I think is getting a little bit scary for black. I could actually play queen f5, trying to trade queens, but can I force an exchange of queens? The h3 prophylactic move is good. Yeah, and that kills him. I mean, he doesn't have any knight g4 actually. Without that move, it doesn't seem like he has any play at all. He doesn't have a way to get a knight to e5. Both his knights are messed up. He's played c6 now. It's over. Everything's good. It looks like he's trying to play d5. If d5, c5, bishop takes c5. That's not so clear. I mean, this has to be a tactically winning position for me. Am I trapping his queen? No. But it does look pretty good. Pretty good to ooh, there's all sorts of nasties like f4, queen g5, f4, queen takes f4, bishop e5. Yeah, so he has to allow this endgame at best. I mean, this has to be good for me. Got all sorts of threats. Ooh, this move is really... I feel knight a8 coming on. Two bishops. That move loses a rook. That's why knight a8. Rich's knight a8 was appropriate. But basically there was nothing to do. I mean... Alright guys, thank you. Time to go. I will be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. with a viewer tournament 7+2. And that's about it. So 7 p.m. CET, Central European Time, 7+2 viewer tournament tomorrow night, a popular event. Hopefully we get some strong players like Yellow Dragoon. Though I don't know if he said he could come. Anyways, otherwise I'd like to thank everyone for watching, hanging out with us. We will thank you guys for being subscribers, especially Gladys Troll, who's subscribed by someone else. Anyway, thanks for the donations via PayPal, supporting the stream and stuff. 7 p.m. is the same time as the Magnus match. What match now? Is it St. Louis again? Are they still doing that? Or is this something else? I can't change my schedule for Rex Sinkfield. I'm sorry. Anyways, yeah. So I'll be streaming at 7 p.m. tomorrow. Not Eastern time. It's CET. So I guess they're just trying to, like, you know, mess with me. Chess.com. Oh my God, Chess.com. What is Chess.com anyway? Who cares about Chess.com? I'm not a fan. I will see you guys tomorrow night, and we will have some fun playing some blitz and classical. Actually, just classical chess here, 7+2. Anyways, it was fun. Thanks, Soltigo, for moderating. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Bye bye.